Commander Marcus Rivera winced as the small, sharp teeth punctured the skin of his forearm. The pain was brief but startling, like a needle finding its mark. Across from him, the Kytherian female, designation K-7 in the diplomatic files, though she'd insisted he call her Lisa, pulled back with what he had learned to recognize as her species' equivalent of a grin. "Apologies, Marcus friend," she said in her melodic, tritonal voice, her bioluminescent patches flickering amber with what the xenobiological reports classified as amusement. "Your reaction sounds are curious." Rivera rubbed the small wound, watching twin drops of crimson well up on his pale skin. 6 months into humanity's first peaceful contact with an alien species, and he was still learning their customs. The Kytherians seemed fascinated by human physiology, just as the research teams back on the orbital station were obsessed with understanding theirs. "It's fine," he said, managing a smile. "Just caught me off guard. On Earth, we call that a love bite when it's playful." Lisa's chromatophores shifted to a deeper blue, indicating intense interest. She was a xenobiologist herself, studying humans with the same methodical curiosity that drove their own scientists. The irony wasn't lost on him that they were essentially lab rats to each other, albeit willing ones. What Rivera didn't know was that Dr. Elena Vasquez was monitoring their interaction from the observation deck above, her face growing pale as she watched the exchange. She had been the first to decode the Kytherian biochemical communication system, and what she was witnessing made her blood run cold. In Kytherian society, the exchange of bodily fluids, particularly saliva mixed with trace amounts of blood, served a purpose far beyond mere affection. It was how they initiated their most sacred bond, the neural symbiosis that permanently linked two individuals at the quantum level. Lisa's saliva contained specialized enzymes and nanoscopic organisms that were, at that very moment, beginning to establish pathways into Rivera's nervous system. The process was irreversible. Vasquez fumbled for her communicator, but hesitated. The diplomatic implications were staggering. Rivera had unknowingly entered into what the Kytherians considered an unbreakable marriage bond, one that would allow Lisa to access his thoughts, emotions, and memories, while simultaneously granting him the same intimate connection to her consciousness. Below, Rivera noticed Lisa's behavior had shifted. Her bioluminescent patterns had changed to deep violet, a color the translation matrices had never successfully decoded. She approached him again, but this time with a reverence that made him uncomfortable. "Marcus friend," she whispered, her voice carrying harmonics he'd never heard before. Do you feel the stirring?" He frowned. There was something, a tingling sensation that seemed to originate from the bite mark but was spreading inward, following his nervous system like electricity through copper wires. For just a moment, he could have sworn he felt something that wasn't quite his own thoughts brushing against his consciousness. "Lisa," he said slowly, "what exactly did you just do to me?" Her chromatophores pulsed with what he was beginning to suspect wasn't amusement at all, but rather a profound solemnity. "I have chosen you, Marcus Rivera of Earth," she said, using his full name for the first time. "As you have chosen me, through your acceptance of the binding bite. We are now Kythera, soul-bonded across the void between stars." Rivera felt his knees weaken as the implications crashed over him like a tsunami. Through their growing connection, he could sense Lisa's emotions, joy, anticipation, and underneath it all, a love so profound and alien that it threatened to overwhelm his merely human heart. Above them, Dr. Vasquez finally activated her communicator. "Command," she whispered urgently, "we have a Code 7 situation. First interspecies bonding has been, accidentally initiated. Requesting immediate xenobiological and diplomatic intervention." The universe had just become a much smaller, and infinitely more complicated, place. Word count, 698.